Welcome back, everyone. It is time for another Destiny 2 ASMR video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than any of my previous videos, but only slightly. As is probably the case with a lot of folks that play the game on a somewhat regular basis, especially during new seasons, I tend to build up a bunch of extra junk in my vault. And as a result of having all that extra junk in my vault, space starts to get a little bit limited. Even with the 600 vault space limit. Now, I'm not really pressing up against the 600 limit here, but I do have a fair bit of extra junk in my vault that probably doesn't need to be there. So, today we're going to be, I will be taking you guys on a little tour of my vault, kind of reviewing and talking about some of my favorite weapons that I have in there, just to kind of, look at some of the weapons that I have accumulated over my, many years of playing the game. Some decent rolls in there, some stuff in there that, either means something to me, that may not have the greatest roll, but, that sort of thing. So before we get started, of course, I do want to thank everyone who has left comments and supporting the videos, all the likes, all the new subscribers we've gotten. I haven't checked just yet, but I think we have broken 500 subscribers, which is incredible, and thank you guys very much for all the support. So, I am on my Warlock, and we are here in the tower. It is about 6:20 in the morning for me here on the East Coast. But as you can see, we do still have a tower full of folks just jumping around, having a good time. But we are going to head on over to the vault and take a look at what we've got in there. Okay, so here's the vault. We're mostly just going to be really paying attention to the legendaries, but I will, just in case there's some newer players out there that may not, recognize an exotic that I have, I will do my best to go over those and the current method on how to get set exotic. Now this video may end up being a little bit longer, it may end up being a little bit shorter, just kind of depends on, how long it takes me to kind of go through some of this stuff. So, in the first slot, and I'm not sure why it's in the first slot, but it's kind of fitting, is the old Midnight COUP. Now this weapon was a big part of the meta back during Forsaken, even, before Forsaken. It dropped from the Leviathan raid. It is also part of the year 1 of Destiny 2 era, right? So it always dropped with static perk rolls. And what made this one so good was that it came with Rampage and Outlaw. It also had Ambitious Assassin, but there's really no reason to take that over a damage perk, at least for PvE, right? And PvP as well. Now maybe if this was over here, in this column, that might have made Ambitious Assassin a bit more interesting to use. So we have Rampage here, and then Outlaw or Ambitious Assassin. That makes a little bit more sense to me. But yeah. So again, this was a raid gun. I used it a lot, as did pretty much anybody that had it. You can see I have 16,000 kills on it, or almost 16,303 kills on it, rather. And this was also back when the masterwork could be re-rolled, right? So you could actually spend enhancement cores and shards to change what kind of masterwork the gun had. Now, I have this on a magazine perk, which I think is just what it dropped with. If I remember correctly, this one actually dropped already masterworked. But technically, I could re-roll it to get a different masterwork. But, of course, the gun is now sunset, so, you know, I could use it in lower end stuff, but to be quite honest, there's just better options for hand cannons now. Next, we have STURM, which is an exotic weapon. This is a 120. You can generally, and of course we are in the tower, so the load times are going to be atrocious for some of the images, but we'll try to work through it. Again, this is a 120 hand cannon. It's exotic perk. Again, this is a year 1 weapon where exotics just really generally weren't that interesting. But its exotic perk is that if you run it with Drang, the sidearm, and I think I may have one of those in here. Spoilers, I guess, for, you know, what's in my vault. Maybe I don't have a Drang in here. I don't see one. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really use sidearms anyways. At least not too terribly often. But anyway, this would be like your primary slot, and then you could run Drang in your energy slot, and if you got a Drang kill, and you swap back to this gun, it overflows the magazine and provides a damage bonus. So if you just get a kill with Drang, it instantly reloads this while it's holstered, overflows the magazine, and gives a damage bonus. And this says kills with this weapon fill the magazine of the equipped energy weapon from reserve. So, you know, Drang and STURM, year 1 had several exotics that were like a duo type thing, right? So that was like a big thing. Well, I guess technically it was just this and MIDA multi-tool, but we'll get there. But basically, yeah, you would pair this with Drang. Kills with each of those guns would reload the other gun from reserves, and as part of the exotic, this one got overflow essentially and a damage boost. Next, we have Vigilant Swing. Again, another year 1 pulse rifle. So it's actually not that interesting as far as its exotic perks. This is unique in that it's a 5-round burst, right? You do get increased weapon performance and recovery when you're the last person alive on your fire team. So this was a gun where, and it's still usable today because it's not sunset, right? So you can use it in, you know, at-light activities, but it's a gun where the exotic perk only really comes into play, and is only really truly useful in like a 3v3 elimination type mode, where you may end up being the last person alive on your team. The unfortunate side of that is, unless you are like in a 1v1, you're probably just going to get team shot by the other team, unless they're just, you know, an uncoordinated team, or you just kind of catch them off guard. Now, it also has an intrinsic trait, which part of that is it being a 5-round burst, which I believe this is the only gun that is a 5-round burst. And also, when a nearby ally is killed, you gain health regeneration and increase movement speed. So pretty interesting there. Rat King, yet another year 1 exotic. This one's a little interesting. I don't even know what this does half the time. Okay, so reloading after a kill grants a brief period of invisibility, right? So that's pretty neat. And then the intrinsic trait is this fully automatic weapon becomes stronger. Okay, that's right. When nearby allies also have it equipped. So it gets a damage boost and I believe a rate of fire increase the more people who are near you have it equipped, as long as they're on your team. So, you know, you can do some goofy stuff with this in Crucible. If you have like a 6-stack of people all running this gun, you know, you can do some pretty goofy stuff. Then we have MIDA multi-tool. This is another one of those, you know, exotic combo weapons. Like you could use this with MIDA mini tool for like a speed boost or something like that. At least that was like the idea behind it. Other than that, it's just a scout rifle. It's a good one. It's a decent weapon. But you know, these days we have like Dead Man's Tale. We have some legendary scouts that are, you know, arguably just as good. What I do like about this gun is that the sight on it is very clean. Then we have Crimson, which is a 3-shot burst hand cannon. So it effectively shoots like a kind of standard pulse rifle, but it's a hand cannon. And it also, if you get a kill with it, it heals you. If you get a precision kill with it, it refills the magazine. On controller, this can be a very painful weapon to go against in trials and in PvP, especially if the person is you know, knows, you know, what they're doing with it. On PC or mouse and keyboard, it can still be very good, but you do have to play at a specific FOV or within like a certain range of FOV. And what I mean by that is your field of view settings, for the crosshair to not kind of bounce so much to where it is kind of inconsistent as far as where the crosshair is compared to where you're actually aiming for, if that makes sense. There's plenty of videos about it out there. But yeah, neat little gun. We have the Jade Rabbit. Now this sucker is has made a pretty big comeback in the sandbox with the recent updates and balance changes to scout rifles. The key thing to take away here is that it's a 150, so it's a slow firing but sort of high damaging scout rifle. And also, if you chain body shots, you gain bonus damage on your next headshot, and it will return ammo to the magazine. So, I'm not really a fan of perks that kind of are built around you not hitting your headshot. So, as much as, you know, it's a fun gun to use, but it's only really super useful on a handful of maps unless you play some of the other maps a very specific way. And again, in PvP. Now PvE, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever used this in PvE, truth be told. But yeah, so basically if you hit body shots, you know, multiple, you'll get a damage bonus to your next headshot or precision hit. We have Huckleberry, which is just an SMG, but not just any SMG. It has pre-nerf Rampage. So Rampage did get a nerf a while ago, but this gun has the pre-nerf version of it. It also gets an increased rate of fire while you're holding down the trigger and reduced recoil, or increased recoil, I'm not sure. And kills with this weapon will also reload the magazine. SUROS Regime, another Destiny 1 weapon. again, this is more or less just an auto rifle, a 600 RPM auto rifle, but it has like a variable, a couple of unique perks that change kind of how it fires. So there's spitting up, where if you hold down the trigger, it increases the rate of fire, or dual speed receiver, where it has a normal rate of fire when you're hip firing, but if you aim down the sights, it slows the rate of fire but increases the damage. Again, I've never really used this much in the Crucible, so I can't really speak to, its most kind of effective way to use it. The intrinsic is that the bottom half of each magazine deals bonus damage and has a chance to return health on kill. And I think this is actually a shader on it, so I think in this game, in D, okay, so it's like this weird kind of blue and red and white, like silver by default, and this is kind of how it was in Destiny 1. Alright, that moves us on to our first legendary weapon, which is the Supremacy. This is only found in the Last Wish raid. I believe it can drop from any of the chests. I'm not sure. I know it can drop from SUROS. No, it can drop from Kali, the first boss. I'm not sure where else it can drop. It may be kind of like universal. I don't really remember the drop tables for Last Wish, but this was. It's not necessarily a god rule, but it does have triple tap, which is kind of the important one you want to get. You can get Snapshot here, which is arguably better than Ambitious Assassin, just because Snapshot is kind of it's a perk that doesn't really require any particular setup or anything like that. You just get that increased, scoping in speed, handling speed, if you will. But I was excited, I was not really farming for this so much, but I really wanted to roll with at least triple tap. So, triple tap on a sniper is just something always good to have. Unfortunately, snipers in PvE aren't really that strong now. Hopefully they do get a little bit of a damage buffer or some sort of other utility in the future. But, I still don't mind using snipers in PvE, particularly like raids and stuff, but, shotguns for just killing bigger enemies, even fusion rifles to a degree. And then for damage, you're generally going to be using a linear fusion rifle, let's be honest here. But yeah, just a neat gun. I really like how it looks. It's very cool. All around, nice little gun there. All right. So we're going to speed things up a little bit here, just because it looks like it took about 20 minutes to go through just the top row here. So we'll just kind of, for the exotics anyways, we'll just kind of touch on those briefly, right? So we got Wishender. This is a bow that kind of essentially lets you get, you can see enemies through walls. It is now also anti-barrier. This comes from the dungeon, what is it called? Shattered Throne. Malfeasance, this is a hand cannon that comes from a quest related to Gambit. It fires like explosive rounds, does more damage to Taken, and it now has unstoppable rounds as well. Ace of Spades, this is Cade 6's iconic hand cannon. It has Firefly. It gets a damage bonus when you reload after a kill. It's a very good weapon in Crucible. I think I have the most kills on any Crucible weapon with this gun. It's also not terrible in PvE. Chaperone, this is a precision slug shotgun that gets, increased handling, range, and maybe damage when you get a precision kill with it. So this can be, slugs aren't in really a super good place in the Crucible right now, but this one used to be can be very menacing in the Crucible. All right, so Long Shadow, this has triple tap and rapid hit on it. Again, that's more or less the roll that you want. Maybe throw on extended mag for the extra, couple rounds in the magazine, just one extra bullet. You get stability and reload speed and, ammo back after you hit 3 precision hits. We've got Bite of the Fox, which is an Iron Banner sniper. You can't actually get it anymore unless Xur sells it. This particular one has snapshot and opening shot, which is a very sought after combo for snipers. It is in your kinetic slot as well. It's very unique looking. My only complaint with this gun is the sight. When you actually zoom in with it, it's like an inverted chevron, so kind of like a weird, like upside down kind of triangle thing, or maybe it's the other way around, but not a fan of the sight, but it's a very, very cool gun. This is the real reason I have this is because it's unique from like the Halloween event. It just has demo and killing wind, nothing too crazy here, but I just kept it because this was the best roll I happened to get of this particular gun that season. We've got Izanagi's Burden, which is just a really powerful sniper. You can hold down the reload button to load all 4 rounds as one single super powerful round. It'll chew through your ammo, but it's a very powerful sniper. Last Word, again, this is more of a controller weapon for PvP. It can be very oppressive, very good at shutting down people rushing you with a shotgun. It essentially gets like a damage bonus and fires full auto when you're hip firing it. Thorn, this is also a carryover from Destiny 1. So is Last Word, actually. It's a hand cannon that applies like a kind of like a damage over time with your bullets, right? So that's pretty much it. Like, it's a good way to prevent people from recovering HP, especially like 3v3 things. You can shoot somebody, you'll get damage ticks, so you can kind of track them. It'll also prevent them from recovering HP until that damage over time stops. When you get kills with it, they leave behind little like green orbs that you can pick up that make the weapon stronger. Night Watch, this is a scout rifle that you can get from doing the New Light campaign, just a few missions into it, not even the whole thing. This has overflow, explosive payload, excellent combination of perks there. Bad Juju, another Destiny 1 gun, kills refill the magazine, increase damage, and grant super energy. Plus, it just looks really freaking cool. I think so. It actually has the frame of a scout rifle, but it's a pulse. Let's see, Lumina. This is kind of like, again, I got this gun, but I never really used it. But basically, if you get kills with this gun, it leaves behind remnants, kind of like Thorn does. And when you do that, it loads special bullets into your gun that allows you to heal your teammates, and it also provides them a damage bonus. So we have Blasphemer, which is a precision slug shotgun. Again, not a fan of the precision slugs, but this one has quick draw opening shot, which, again, pretty sought after combo. It has assault mag, arrowhead or corkscrew. It's a really cool looking gun. Drops from Altars of Sorrow. But again, not really a huge fan of slugs. I only have a handful of kills on it. Let's see, Loud Lullaby. Now this one is one of the only 120s that you can get now that has kill clip on it. I actually have one with kill clip somewhere. Oh, here it is. With kill clip, you can 2-tap with this gun. It will do, I think, 108 damage per headshot, which is a guaranteed kill, I believe, on any resilience. But it is a 120. I have one also that I use a good bit that has surplus and explosive payload for the extra stability and handling with surplus, and then explosive payload does some some good flinching. I also really like the look of this gun as well. I think this is really cool looking. Here's another Halloween weapon, the BRAYTECH Werewolf, really unique frame. This has Vorpal dynamic sway. Again, nothing too crazy there, but having Vorpal on a primary can be useful sometimes. Again, it comes from the Halloween event. We'll probably see this again this year. And, just a cool looking gun. Monte Carlo, another auto rifle. Its whole thing is that when you shoot enemies with this gun, it reduces your melee cooldown. So you can really kind of build into being a really, melee based, kind of player. This year I just have for the deep sight resonance, so I think I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I know we actually just get some of the resonance just from dismantling it, but I think I'm full on deep sight resonance anyway, so we'll just take the legendary shards. Now this one here, this is probably one of the best rolls you can get on this. This has time payload and ambitious assassin. It's a 180, so in Crucible it's not really going to be that useful. Even in PvE, it's not going to be terribly useful. But this again, projectiles kind of attach to enemies and explode after a little delay. It's a fun gun to use. It looks really cool. Ambitious Assassin again overflows the magazine when you reload after a kill based on how many kills you get. So just probably one of the, at least in these two perks, it's probably one of the best rolls you could get. Now this. So I'll say this too. In PvE, the only thing, what's going to make the most difference in how a weapon plays are these two perks here, or these two columns, right? And when you're searching for like a god roll gun, if these two have synergy and are just generally desirable perks, you won't really notice if these two aren't that good. Even the masterwork to a degree doesn't matter a whole lot. What's going to really make the weapon is the synergy between perks here, or just the overall usefulness of the perks in these columns. Now these are more of like supplemental, like it just gives it that extra little edge, but to really get, your most effectiveness out of a gun is going to come from, your third and fourth slot perks, right? In PvP, these matter a little bit more because generally your barrels or your sights and like your magazine perks are going to supplement whatever the gun. You generally want perks here that increase, whatever stats the gun is just lacking for the most part, right? Whether that's handling, reload speed, stability, that sort of stuff makes more of a difference in PvP, right? But truthfully, for the most part, you won't really notice a huge difference in effectiveness in a weapon as long as you have the perks that are desirable or most useful in these columns here. Let's see, where are we at? Astral Horizon. Now this, man, I'll say this. Aggressive frame shotguns are not shotguns in general aren't in a very consistent place. This particular roll on this shotgun is not that great. Now, if I had opening shot here, maybe to put on a bit more range, this may be a bit more useful. But, you know, it's got celerity and surplus, so I can get a lot of handling here. But I do have a range masterwork. But the whole thing with aggressive frames is it's supposed to be the depth at which you can get kills, because the pellet requirements for a kill. This one just doesn't cut it. I'm keeping this right now just because it's the only Astral Horizon I have. Once I can get an Adept version at some point, I'll get rid of this one for sure. We have Dire Promise, again, another Crucible weapon. We've got opening shot, rangefinder, range masterwork, decent roll. Nothing too fantastic about it though. It's 140, you know. Those are always fun. I got a True Prophecy, which is a 120. This has rangefinder and rampage. Rampage is kind of useless on 120s. It doesn't really change your time to kill to any noticeable degree anymore. That used to not be the case. You used to be able to 2-tap, I think, with a single stack of Rampage, maybe 2 stacks. But Rangefinder just gives it a bit more range. We've got Handling Masterwork. Again, I kept this mostly just because these two are pretty interesting perks to have. Biting Winds. Now this is a fun one. I actually used this in trials last weekend. But the main thing here is that it has Swashbuckler, and it is a precision frame bow. Essentially, if I get a melee kill and I have 5 stacks of Swashbuckler, this bow is now a one-shot kill to the head. It can be pretty menacing. It'll catch people off guard. I played it with stasis so I could freeze people. And then melee them for a kill, get the 5 stacks of Swashbuckler, and then you're just taking people out left and right. We have Succession, which comes, this particular one is, I guess, more or less the God roll. It has Vorpal and Reconstruction. This comes from Deepstone Crypt. Vorpal, of course, extra damage against bosses. Reconstruction is essentially auto-loading holster on steroids. When you have it stowed, it will slowly reload itself, but it will also overflow the magazine up to double. So you can get, I could have 8 rounds in this sniper, essentially, right? I believe I could also put on like extended mag or something, but I prefer to just have boss spec, which extended mag or backup mag may be, that doesn't actually change it at all, so maybe that's why. Yeah, okay. But yeah, really cool looking gun. Love using this. Generally, if I'm using a sniper in PvE, this is what I am using. Let's see, another Deepstone Crypt weapon. We have Heritage. This has Reconstruction and Recombination, or yeah, Reconstruction and Recombination. This Recombination is really nice because as you get kills, even when the weapon is stowed, or elemental final blows, yeah. So it's a kinetic weapon, and if you're getting kills with your elemental primary up to a certain stack, I think it's ×8 or ×10, then when you fire this weapon after swapping to it, it gets a damage bonus, right? It also has recombination or reconstruction. So again, auto-loading, but it overflows the magazine. So I can have 14 shots of this, with the first shot doing extra damage depending on how many kills I've gotten with my primary before using it. Let's see. We have True Prophecy. Nothing special here. Just a 120 with a solid roll. It's got range, more stability in range. We've got moving target, snapshot, cool looking gun. It's an iron banner gun. It's also an iron banner gun you can't get anymore unless Xur sells it, I think. We have Eye of Soul Adept. Again, not really a god roll here, but we have surplus and celerity. That gives me a ton of handling. Or Vorpal, so you can, it's an aggressive frame, or it's an adaptive frame. I think you can one tap supers if I have Vorpal on. I really like how this gun looks. I love this particular frame for sniper rifles. And I just threw a gold shader on it because, you know, gold, who doesn't love that, right? Let's see. Got No Time to Explain. This is a menace right now in Crucible. Everybody and their mother is using this gun. It's a 340 pulse rifle. It's a very strong weapon. It's full auto. If you get crits with it, it can return ammo to the magazine. It can also summon a little like turret that will shoot at your enemies as well with it. So I have a love-hate relationship with this gun. I love it because it's very effective, but I hate it because it's very effective. And a lot of people in Crucible will just, if you play Crucible with any regularity, you see this a lot, especially in Trials. HAWKMOON, probably my favorite exotic from Destiny 1. This exotic also took me the longest to get. I did not get, there was a time in Destiny 1 where, man, I lost my train of thought. There's a time in Destiny 1 where this thing could randomly just one-shot people, which you can still do in Destiny 2, but you have to kind of build up the stacks of paracausal shot with your precision hits. Whereas in Destiny 1, it was just one random bullet in the magazine got like a huge damage bonus. So it could be the first round, it could be the 5th round, you know, in the magazine. But one random bullet in the magazine in Destiny 1 would just kill people instantly if you headshot them, right? So it took me forever to get this gun in Destiny 1 because it was just a random chance. In Destiny 2, there was a quest you could do to get it. Now Xur sells this along with Dead Man's Tale pretty much every weekend, I think, with different rolls on them. This one has rangefinder, which is very nice. We also have smooth grip for stability and handling, alloy magazine, which is faster reloads when the magazine's out, and then arrowhead brake for recoil control. This thing is a stat machine. A lot of, this is just a very useful hand cannon. It's also very, very cool looking. I love this gun. Can't really, say too much about it, but it's a lot of fun. Traveler's Chosen sidearm. Some people swear by this gun. A lot of people, you'll see, some folks using it in Crucible and things like that. I again, not a fan of sidearms, but the main draw of this gun is if you get final blows with it, it gives it a stacking buff type thing. And if you hold R to reload, it gives you ability energy based on how many of those stacks you have from getting kills. So it's really useful for like a PvE when you're trying to do like bounties and stuff that require you to use like very specific like abilities or skills that might have a longer cooldown. You can slap this thing on and get your abilities off cooldown pretty quick. The Messenger Adept. I love this gun. Again, I'm kind of sick of pulse rifles this season. but I'm glad to have this in my arsenal for when I need it. This thing has Desperado, Killing Wind, the Ricochet rounds, Arrowhead Break, Handling Masterwork. It's Adept, so you can put on Adept mods. I love this gun. Right? Absolutely love it. Desperado, unfortunately, is not as good as it used to be when it was originally introduced on this gun. This used to be, this and one of the old Crucible Pinnacle weapons used to be the only gun that could roll. Desperado, that has since changed. There's another pulse rifle, a couple other pulse rifles that can roll this now. Big fan of this gun. I love how it looks. I love that it's a high impact frame. You can 2 burst with this if you hit each of your headshots. If all of your bullets hit headshots, it's a very fun to use gun. Now, arguably, you could, rapid hit would probably be the better option here. But for 6s, I don't mind having Killing Wind in there, give me a bit extra range. Nothing wrong with that. We have Multi-Mog. Now, this is also an Iron Banner weapon. You can no longer get this, I think, unless Xur sells it. This has Iron Reach, which gives more range at the cost of stability, or Dynamic Sway Reduction, which improves accuracy and stability while holding down the trigger. So we have increased range at the cost of stability, but also a perk that gives more stability as you hold down the trigger. Very good SMG. It doesn't have a whole lot of competition in the kinetic slot. I'm not a super big SMG guy either. But when I do use an SMG, it's usually this or my Shire's Wrath that I have, but that's in the energy slot. So, oh man, this is taking a lot longer than I thought I did. So we may have to do like a multi-part series of this, but we will finish up this page here and probably call it for this video because I'm kind of running out of time here. But we've got Dead Man's Tale. This thing has received various nerfs. Now it's kind of a shadow of what it used to be. It's still a very fun to use weapon in Crucible, but this thing used to be an absolute menace in the Crucible. Everybody was using it, and it oh man, I have like PTSD from Trials and the comp playlist of people using this thing in its pre-nerf state. Again, you can't get this, through its original way, which was a quest back in Season of the Chosen. But Xur sells one of these every weekend with different roles, so be sure if you don't have one to go check him out and see what he's got. It's arguably not as desirable anymore for at least as how it used to be, but still a cool gun, still fun to use, very cool looking. Yeah. I've got I don't know why I have two. Why do I have two? I'll have to go back and look and see which one of those I would rather keep. But yeah, we'll figure that out. Chroma Rush. This I'll probably actually go ahead and get rid of. Well, maybe not. Again, I have a hard time parting with guns that I only have one of, so I may just keep this. But this is from Season of the Splicer. Auto rifle, 720 RPM's got Rampage, Feeding Frenzy. Very good synergistic combo there. Damage perk and reload perk. You can't really go wrong with that. It's very unique looking. It sounds really cool to shoot. It has been power crept by a couple of other weapons now. But, unique looking gun. It's cool, right? Ignition code. We have a grenade launcher here with an interesting perk combo. We have One for All and Slide Shot. So One for All, of course, if you hit 3 separate targets, it'll give you a bonus to damage. Slide shot will reload the magazine, so you can kind of just slide around, and you can shoot really fast if you time it correctly. And then, it's a damage bonus there. We also have blinding nades, which is great for like higher end content. Really unique looking gun. Also came from Season the Splicer. Gotta love it. And we'll end on this one here. This is the TIMELOST FATEBRINGER. It comes from doing the Master Templar challenge in the Vault of Glass Master mode. It's unique in that it's basically an adept weapon, so it can take adept mods, which I don't know why I have major spec on. I was probably killing ads or something with it, but yeah, it comes with guaranteed perks here. So it will always come with Firefly and explosive payload as long as it is the TIMELOST version. So it'll always have these. Now these will be different. And now this one serves a pretty decent purpose because I can use this for PvE with these here. Or I can swap just the kill clip and use it for PvP. I've got a few hundred kills on it in PvP as well. So we got kill clip with explosive payload, very, very good combo for PvP, or Firefly explosive payload, which just kind of makes this gun an all-around workhorse. This is probably one of my favorite guns in the game. I think it's also got my highest or maybe second highest kill count for PvE weapons. But yeah, love this gun. Absolutely love this gun. But yeah, so we are pushing up almost we're just over 45 minutes for this video. Just got through the first page. This took a lot longer than I thought it would take. So we'll probably do like a multi-part series here for this. So maybe, we'll probably change it up next weekend with like another like actual gameplay video. And then maybe the week after that, we'll just kind of alternate, kind of going through the vault, just kind of hanging out, talking about the weapons, that sort of thing. Now, I know this video is a bit different than what my videos normally are, but let me know if you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I've also considered doing like kind of like build explanation videos, that sort of thing, just to kind of, I feel like if somebody's watching Destiny 2 ASMR, you've probably been playing the game for a while to a certain degree. But I'd like to put out some content out there for folks that may be new to the game, that they may find helpful. And I also realized this was supposed to be like a vault cleanup type video, but I think I deleted like one gun, maybe. But yeah, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support and, all the comments you guys leave. Again, if you have actually sat through this whole video, thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. But that's going to do it for me for today. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.